wonderful sauce. What's up, good vibes? So it's another beautiful and wonderful day, and we are really glad to be joined by you. You see, today, my friend, we shall be reacting together to videos, extremely interesting videos, with the aim and intentions of spreading love, peace, honesty, and forgiveness to the whole world. I am Y311H with my bunny friends here, straight out of Africa with lots of good vibes. Kindly, my friend, smash that like button and watch till the end. Now, my friend, let's dive in. Hey, one more thing. Let's read from some good vibes book here that is full of knowledge. Yeah, this good vibes book guides us through life. And let's hear what it has for us today. This is what it says. You have heard that it was said, eye for eye and tooth for tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If someone strikes you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. And if someone wants to sue you and take your tunic, let him your cloak as well. If someone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2 miles. Give to the ones who asks you, and do not turn away, for the one who wants to borrow from you. Good vibes word from Matthew 5:38 going down. My friend, our theme for today is forgiveness. Let's give thanks to our Creator before we dive in. Dear Lord Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for your love, your kindness, and your goodness, Father. Thank you for your breath in us. Thank you for this soul, Father, that have joined us today. All glory and honor belong unto you, Father. Dear Lord, as we react together to these videos, guide us through, fill us with your spirit, and help us to speak to the whole world about love, Father. In Jesus' mighty name, we do pray, trusting and believing. Amen. Let's dive in good wave soon.
When suddenly he spots this.
Takot naman to. Ano ka?
A strange figure can be seen standing in the middle of the road.
Takot naman to. Ano ka?
The sighting has gone viral, with thousands of comments pouring in trying to make sense of the bizarre nighttime encounter.
I have some exciting new footage for you that was literally captured today, August 21st, 2024. And shout out to Kim for sending this to my attention. So a group of locals in the Philippines recorded what they believe to be not one, but 2 giants. Now, as they're panning to these entities and recording them, there's something off about them. Some are claiming that they're giants, others are claiming aliens. Take a look at their forms because they look different. Could this truly be 2 extraterrestrials, or is this something else? Take a look at this footage and tell me what you think.
Scientists just discovered something new about tardigrades, which are my favorite animal ever. And this discovery might help humans survive intense radiation. So here's what's going on. Tardigrades are microscopic and totally awesome. They can survive crushing pressures, deep freezes, and decades without food or water. They can also survive intense amounts of radiation. I'm talking 100 times the gamma radiation and 1,000 times the X-ray radiation required to kill a human. But now scientists think they know how tardigrades are doing it. Radiation with enough energy can damage a cell's DNA. We use that fact to kill cancer cells, but it's not good for other cells. Tardigrades have special proteins that scientists think work by shielding the genes from radiation, or holding the entire chromosome together extra tightly to keep it from coming apart. Scientists then put those proteins into human cells and found that those cells were less damaged by radiation. I think tardigrades are totally awesome. Maybe my favorite science story ever is how tardigrades ended up on the moon. I'll tell you about it in another video. If you like optimistic science and tech stories, follow for more.
When you don't listen, they can trick you. So here's another example of this kind of thing. So listen to the details. Pretend you're a zookeeper, and at this zoo, there is a large population of monkeys. Well, the zookeeper works with the monkeys and the lions and the apes, and one day accidentally leaves the gate open to the monkey entrapment or encagement, and the monkeys get out, and the monkeys go crazy. They taunt the lions, they ride on the elephants, and they throw food at all of the customers at the zoo. So here's the question. What color are the zookeeper's eyes? The answer is obviously green. Well, for me, because it starts with pretend you're the zookeeper. So what color are your eyes? Hope you got this one. Hope it helps you listen. I'm Dr. Fred, and I help people solve complex problems. Please like and follow.
Did you know in Western dining we do not eat with our elbows on the table? Very inelegant. It's also really impractical. Can't really eat like this. However, at the end of a meal, when there is no food on the table, it is perhaps permissible to get away with the odd elbow rest, particularly if other guests are doing it. But if in doubt, don't.
Let's talk about feet. When was the last time you lost the ability to spread and articulate your fingers? Probably never. So then why has everybody lost the ability to spread and articulate their toes? But why would I need to spread my toes? Well, because the muscles that spread your toes also make up a significant part of your arch. But since these giant shoe companies have been squishing your toes your whole life, you have weak arches, which means you need arch support. So you buy more shoes that have more cushion and they make you more weak. That's not very cash money if you ask me.
Changing the language from Japanese to English to the new generation Toyota Aqua is possible. Come on over and let me show you. 2021 Toyota Aqua. Let's come inside and start the vehicle. Here we go. All right, let me start the car right here. Watch the brake. That's it. Vehicle is on. So the problem is sometimes you're buying one of these Japanese vehicles that come, of course, with the Japanese deck, and I don't like to read that kind of stuff. So here we go. Let's navigate into the menu and come into the settings option. I'm going to the right. That's it. You got to press and hold OK in this function. Here you go. Press and hold. Right there. That top symbol, that is your unit of language. You change it to English. Press OK. And that should be it. Once it's ready, you have absolutely all the functionality of your Toyota Aqua new generation in English. Most is because this vehicle has a bunch of functionalities, and then to read all this kind of stuff in English is a little boring. Short and easy. Very similar to the Toyota Yaris Cross Hybrid. So if you want to know more, stick around for all the tips. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Serious question. Why is it that all the natural stuff like red meat, butter, eggs, raw milk, the sun is all demonized, even though illness and disease is at an all-time high, and so is ultra-processed foods, sugar and seed oils? Well, let's blame all the natural stuff that our ancestors once had. Just an observation.
If you have to work with this kind of code, how do you know which is the hot, which is the neutral? You sometimes run into this problem with like a chandelier or a lamp or something like a charger where you have to replace the end because you don't want to just throw it away. So let me show you the few ways you can tell which is the hot and the neutral and what the NEC has to say about it. Let's get into it. So first on the cord cap, can you see that one is fatter and one is skinnier? The fat one's the neutral. When dealing with lights, the shell should be the neutral and the pin should be the hot. So you can just ring it out. Neutral, hot. All right, the other way, if you have something like this where you can't ring it out, if you look at the cord, one is smooth, one is ridges. The ridges is the neutral. And those ridges are referred to in the NEC. Let me show you where. So I'm in the 23, Article 400, flexible cords, construction specifications, 22, grounded conductor identification. So there is a whole bunch of ways, and I'm sure you see these all the time, but the one that I seem to find the most when I'm dealing with chandeliers is the surface markings. One or more ridges or grooves over the blah, 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 over the entire length of the cord. So the ridges and grooves seems to be the one I see the most in real life. All right, thank you very much.
I need somebody to explain to me why I can eat bread in Spain and in Greece, Italy, no problem. Why? I was gluten-free in 15 years. I've been gluten-free in Canada, America. Can't eat it.
Hi, my name is Dr. Rupin. I'm a board-certified allergist. There are several potential reasons why somebody could eat wheat in Europe but not necessarily in the United States. However, if you have celiac disease or a wheat allergy, it doesn't matter where you live. You have to avoid those foods at all costs. For some people, they may report symptoms of abdominal pain, bloating, nausea, diarrhea, or potentially other symptoms after eating gluten-containing foods, but they don't meet the diagnostic criteria of a wheat allergy or celiac disease. They're often referred to as non-celiac gluten sensitivity. For those situations, when people go to Europe and they eat gluten-containing foods, they may not have as many symptoms because there's varying gluten content in the wheat that's produced in Europe, as well as different pesticides. However, there is a significant amount of wheat exports from the United States to Europe, so you may be consuming wheat that actually originated in the United States when you're in Europe. When they go to Europe, they may be eating more fresh foods that are less processed, and that may be easier for them to digest and have less symptoms. Also, when they're in Europe, they may be walking around a lot more and feeling more relaxed, so that helps aid in digestion and decrease the amount of symptoms. So there's various reasons why this may be occurring. Have you noticed that this phenomenon has been happening to you?
Pretty much everyone I know sleeps on their side, so let me show you how to do it without cutting off the circulation to your hand. Most people don't know, but when you're actually sleeping on two pillows like this and you wrap your arm underneath, it's really bad because you're cutting off a lot of blood flow to your arm and your hand. When you sleep like this, your neck is actually pinched into your chest, and it's really bad for your breathing. Now, I thought these pillows were all hype, but after sleeping with one for the last month, it's super nice because you can wrap your arm around here and you're not sleeping on your hand. If you put your neck here, you can see it's fully open. Even if you want a little bit more neck support here, you can still see it's fully open. And I have not woke up with a sore neck using this pillow.
I thought this was a joke. Apparently, dye in Doritos can make mice see-through. Researchers at Stanford were experimenting with different dyes and how they might change the way light travels through living tissue. And they stumbled upon tartrazine, a food dye that gives soda and snacks its bright color. Human skin is not see-through because light hits it, and the various ingredients in your skin scatter it in different ways. Tartrazine mixed with water can change the refraction index, helping light go straight through instead of scattering. The process is pretty simple, you just have to rub it in. And within a few minutes, they could see organs and veins. However, there are a few challenges. For one, it can only go so deep, which could be an issue since human skin is about 10 times thicker than mice. Second, it won't work for every condition we need to see. And third, we need to determine if this specific mixture is going to be toxic in the high quantities we'll probably need. I really wanted to include the images, which are available. The problem is because of the color of the dye, it looks like kind of a bloodied mouse, which it's not, but TikTok won't know the difference.
Watch this video.
3 days is an idea. 3 weeks is an attempt. 3 months is a habit. 3 years is a skill.
Why are gas stations always built right next to other gas stations? Why is it that I can drive for a mile without finding a coffee shop and then stumble across 3 on the same corner? Why do grocery stores, auto repair shops, and restaurants always seem to exist in groups instead of being spread evenly throughout a community? While there are several factors that might go into deciding where to place your business, Clusters of similar companies can be explained by a very simple story called Hotelling's model of spatial competition. Imagine that you sell ice cream at the beach. Your beach is 1 mile long and you have no competition. Where would you place your cart in order to sell the most product? In the middle. The 1/2 mile walk may be too far for some people at each end of the beach, but your cart serves as many people as possible. One day you show up at work just as your cousin Teddy is arriving at the beach with his own ice cream cart. In fact, he's selling exactly the same type of ice cream as you are. You agree that you will split the beach in half. In order to ensure that customers don't have to walk too far, you set up your cart a 1/4 mile south of the beach center, right in the middle of your territory. Teddy sets up a 1/4 mile north of the center in the...
Let's explain why you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. I'm a psychologist and I'll help you understand why you're procrastinating right now. So most of us have something that we're supposed to be doing right now instead of watching TikTok. And a lot of times we feel quite guilty about this, or we feel even confounded by this. Like, why am I doing this and I'm not doing the other thing? And this is essentially why. So the reason for this is cognitive fusion and emotional fusion. So cognitive fusion means that we believe that the thoughts that come into our minds are facts, and we treat them as facts. So if you have a presentation to prepare right now, you might have some really elegant and cool thoughts like, oh, well, I need to make sure that I'm super rested before I start on this presentation because it's going to be really difficult, blah, blah, blah. And right now I'm not because it's late at night and I need to wait until then. So that may or may not be true, but you have to understand that that's just a thought. That's not some kind of objective information. And so a lot of times when we're trying to avoid doing something that is ambiguous or difficult, the mind offers up these arguments. And typically what I've seen, the more intelligent the person, the more elegant and elaborate the argument. Like for a lot of my clients that are highly intelligent, they can present me with like a full dissertation of why they shouldn't do something. And it'll be beautiful. Like the logic will be so sound. It'll be amazing. But it's still just an excuse. It's an avoidance mechanism, right? And the mind will do all kinds of things to avoid wasting energy and doing things that are of ambiguous reward. That's just that the way the mind works. And for most people, they haven't been taught that or they haven't accepted it. So you have to realize that the mind isn't some kind of perfect computer that you get to just input things into and then it does what you want. It has all kinds of mechanisms that will prevent you from wasting energy because the mind doesn't want to present like this really amazing presentation. It doesn't want to do all that work necessarily naturally. So you have to kind of hold all of these thoughts very loosely, and you have to kind of almost like question your mind like a child that is telling you that, yeah, I'm definitely going to do my homework. Like the mind just comes up with random arguments to try to avoid doing work. Like that's what it does. And so you have to be onto yourself. You have to be wary. You can't just take everything that the mind gives you and think that like, okay, this is objective reality. The second reason why we avoid doing things that we know are good for us and why we're procrastinating is because we use our emotions as evidence as well. So we feel frustrated, we feel bored, we feel tired, and we think that that is a good reason to not do something. And sure, maybe it is. It could be. But at the same time, a lot of times the mind uses these emotions, and emotions are in the body, so the body uses these emotions as a way to avoid doing something we don't like doing. And that's completely okay. Like it's very normal to not like doing things. And it's very normal for us to create all of these avoidance mechanisms because we do live in a highly complex, ambiguous world in which we tend to be pretty tired because of this complexity and because of all the things we're doing. And most of us aren't getting enough rest. But at the same time, it's highly painful to live like with this kind of feeling that like, oh, I should be doing things, but I'm not. Kind of this war with yourself. So if you want to kind of win this war with yourself, you have to start realizing that the things that your mind and body are doing are a way to avoid doing things. And that's okay. That's completely normal. That's exactly how the mind and the body should work. You should have emotions of boredom and dread, you should have arguments in your mind of why you shouldn't do things. But you should also realize that you probably shouldn't take those as complete reality. You shouldn't use that as evidence to dictate your behavior, because if you do that, then you'll always be on this like roller coaster of motivation, and that's a horrible way to live, because then you're always like waiting and hoping that you'll feel motivated to do something, and motivation is highly unreliable. Like, it could come, it could go, you don't know. And living like that is extremely like stressful, because it's so much instability. It's like living in a country that has no stability politically. It's like, we don't know what's going to happen. Who knows? And so that's why a lot of times people feel so stressed when they live like this, because you have no idea what you're going to do. And that's terrifying. Like, that is terrifying, especially when you have certain things that you need to do for your own livelihood, like for work and things like that. It's like, you have no idea if you're going to be able to accomplish this, because you can't actually rely on yourself to not completely fuse with your thoughts and emotions.
You just realized if you touch your tongue, it stops a yawn. I didn't know that. No matter how hard you pinch your elbow, it won't hurt. Facts. Only 2% of the world has green eyes. If you lick someone's elbow, they won't feel it. Who found that out? The word okay is a sideways person. I can't unsee this. You can see your nose at all times, but your brain just ignores it. Stop the cap. More than 50% of people in the world haven't made or received a phone call. That's crazy. Beds are just wireless chargers for humans. That's true. You've never seen your face in real life, just in reflections and pictures. That's crazy. Your clothes have been to countries you've never been to, and it's not fair. Someone made up dinosaur sounds without ever hearing them, and we all just went with it. We did. There's a D in the word fridge, but no D in refrigerator. We bake cookies, but cook bacon makes no sense. Only about 10% of people in the world are left-handed. Not one of them. There are over 200 dead bodies on Mount Everest. That's crazy. Some of us are still it from a game of tag.
So for today's drink,
¿Qué cosa es esa cosa, Dios mío? Es una persona. No, no es una persona. Es una persona doblada.
Oh my fucking god, I swear to god, this thing just fucking looked at me. Oh my fucking.
Flash is on. Alright, let's take a look. What do you think's in there? I don't know. I guess nothing.
I'm going to tell you how to study effectively, and 99% of you won't do it. The ultimate formula in med school for success is first to understand the topic. Second is to have some form of note-taking, which I'll explain shortly after. Third is to have a memorization technique, so a way to recall and revise the information. And fourth is self-testing, so you need a method of testing yourself to see, do you know the information or not? And then you repeat the process over and over again until everything is crisp and clear. We're going to work through those one by one, all right, don't worry. So first, you're going to have to try and understand the information. How do you do that? It's in class. You listen to the lecture, you watch the lecture, you watch the YouTube video, whatever it is. To understand it, you should be able to recreate whatever you have been taught in your own words or in your own schematic and drawing, and you should be able to explain it to a friend. If you can do those things, you have a good grasp of the content. Step 2 is having a form of taking notes. Now, it doesn't have to be writing on paper or even typing it up. You can make flashcards, which is what I do. So any information I get taught in class, I convert it into a question and an answer. If the lecturer says the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, I would write down in my notes, what is the powerhouse of the cell? And in the answer, I would write the mitochondria. And the reason I do that is it makes it easy for me to use my notes to revise. Because when I come to revising, instead of just reading a blank piece of paper that says the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, that's just passive. I'm active with my learning. I look at a question, I say, oh, what is the powerhouse of the cell? And I think back, oh yeah, it's the mitochondria. I check the answer, and I say, cool, I am correct. Because I memorized it, I brought it from memory, that's called active recall. I'm actively recalling the information. So that's what you want to do for all of your notes. The best thing about this is you don't have to. They have already been made online. If you're in the UK, if you're in the US, wherever you study, somebody has already made these notes because medicine is largely the same everywhere you go. Once you have created notes that are easy for you to self-test with later on, the next step is to implement spaced repetition and consistency. How do you do that? Is basically if you study something today is day 0. You want to look at that information again, probably on day 1, which is tomorrow. After day 1, you want to study again the same topic, but instead of waiting 1 day, you want to increase that interval to 2 days. After 2 days, study it again and increase the interval to maybe 4 days, 5 days, 6 days. And as time goes on, every time you repeat revising the information, you increase the gap. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So you're basically going from a 1-day memory to a 5-day memory, a 10-day memory, a 20-day memory. And you'll reach a point where you don't have to look at the information for a few weeks, but it's still fresh in your mind. That's how spaced repetition works, and it is scientifically proven to be effective. I would recommend just using Anki flashcards. The app is free. It has spaced repetition as an algorithm built in, and because they're flashcards, they're automatically active recall. So you've got all of the 3 golden things all in one. The final bit is self-testing. After you've studied the information, the individual facts and the processes, you want to use question banks, because in med school, all of your exams will be questions with multiple choice answers or maybe short written answers depending where you study. So you need to replicate that in your studying so that you're ready for the exam. And the best way is to just use a question bank. In the UK, people tend to use PassMed. In the US, people use UWorld and Amboss. In other countries, I don't know what people use, but find a question bank that's suited for your exam. This is the part that none of you are going to do, although it's really, really important. The first is sleeping properly. During your sleep, you have REM sleep. In REM sleep, that's when you create memories. That's when your brain makes new connections with the stuff you learned today. Most students sleep terribly, so the work that they do doesn't really get saved in the head. So make sure you prioritize sleep. The next thing is having a good diet. Listen, if a car has good fuel in it, it's going to run well. If a car has bad fuel, it's not going to run well. Your body is the same. The food you eat is your fuel. If you eat crap food, you're going to feel crap. You're going to struggle to focus. You'll be lazy and lethargic and tired all the time. It's not going to work, right? So you need to eat good, nutritious food. Next is exercise. Now you might think, how is exercise related to studying? It is, right? If you exercise, you have more energy. You also sleep better. You have more energy, you are able to focus and pay more attention in class, and you're just going to perform at a better level in everything that you do. Exercise is also going to relieve stress, it's going to help you manage your mental health, it's going to do a whole load of other benefits for you, and one of them is helping you in your studying. Consistency is the final thing. If you want success, you need to consistently use the techniques I've told you and study throughout the year rather than waiting right until the exam 2 weeks before and then cramming studying. But getting into the habit of doing a little bit of work every day. Right? It doesn't have to be much, just 20-30 minutes. Just quickly going over the stuff from this week is going to help. Look at your schedule. Some weeks are going to be heavy, some weeks are going to be light, right? When you have a light week, that's a time for you to start revising on the previous things. And when you have a heavy week, you anticipate that and you maybe do a bit less studying that week to focus on the new content. I'm not going to sit here and say that this is easy. What I've just told you is probably one of the hardest things about med school. It's not the content. It's not the actual stuff you have to learn. That really is quite simple. It makes sense. The difficulty is the discipline. It's like working every single day. It's waking up and doing it over and over again. It's studying 7 months before the exam when there's no real need to, but you know that if you do, it's going to benefit you later on. Take it easy. You're not going to be a master of studying from the first year. You will gradually, I hope, get better and better each year. And what I would do is reflect after your exams. Go home and reflect and say, what do I feel like right now? Do I wish I studied more? Do I wish I started earlier? What could I have done better? Write it down. Make a video of it or something. And then next year, when you get to exams, when you get to studying, you rewatch and look at the reflection you did and think, okay, cool, we're going to fix these problems. I think that's everything I can think of now. Probably have more to say. Check my website, check my other videos, check my newsletter. I have so much information out there for free that's going to help you. And anyone who does this stuff, come back to me in like 9 months. I'm telling you, you will be successful.
Kai, here's the mixture. It's disgusting. It didn't look like it did in the video, but we're just going to try a little piece of oak. Dip it in there. Swish it around. Let that sit. And then we're going to try a little bit of black cherry. And yeah, we'll see what it looks like after it soaks in. Holy shit! Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh my Lord. Oh